Hey everyone, my name is Chrissy. I am totally new to YouTube and everything that it can do with videos and everything, so bear with me. This is going to be pretty basic. But I am here, and my reason for starting a YouTube channel is so that I can help fellow diabetics and their families. My biggest thing is when I was 17 years old, I was diagnosed with diabetes, and that was August of 2003. And yes, they did have diabetic cams. There were a bunch of resources that I could utilize. But the thing about it for me was that I was 17 and I knew everything, right? Because generally, I feel like at that age, you feel like you've already been through so much and you already know what is normal. So it was really hard to talk to anybody that didn't have diabetes. So I kind of want to be outsourced kind of a person. I have no medical degree, no background, anything, so that's my disclaimer. But I do have a lot of experiences. But like I said, the things I will be discussing on the channel are things of like my journey. That's one thing that I'm going to be discussing today, how I found out what happened and what it's looked like the past 15 years for me. Also, I want to, talk about families and diabetes. So not just, your mom or your dad or your brother or sister, but also I'm married and I have two children. And what that looks for somebody that doesn't have diabetes, that's going into a relationship with somebody who, maybe not understands it completely, just because when you have it and when you think you know about it, I think those are two completely different things. Also, the health and wellness side of diabetes, I really, I consider myself pretty active. I work out 5 to 6 days a week. I've tried so many different diets and the way of eating and I think the biggest misconception sometimes too when it comes to food is, we usually hear, oh, you're diabetic, you got the sugar, you can't have that, right? So I think that understanding what food looks like to a diabetic as well, and maybe helping them along with that process. I'm also going to go over my pump. I do use a Medtronic pump, as well as I use a sensor, and to go over my meters and what I use. Just to give like a basic understanding. I will even do like how-to tutorials and showing exactly how to put on my sensor, to attach my sensor and my tubing for my insulin pump. And then, just the good, the bad, and sometimes the ugly. I think that a lot of people need to understand that you have good days and you have bad days. And anybody can really say that. You have good days of dieting, you have bad days of dieting. You have good days of, being a diabetic, and you have bad days of being a diabetic. And there's so many other things that come along with that. There's so many different emotions, feelings, everything. So I think one of the things that I really want to accomplish, like I said, is just to simply help. And like I said, I do not have any type of medical background other than just being a diabetic myself. I work very closely with my endocrinologist, absolutely love my endocrinologist. I know that's going to be a whole different segment, but that's going to be my suggestion, is to make sure that you have a really good endocrinologist. Sometimes we can feel judged when we go into doctor's offices, but make sure you find a good endocrinologist, because they can truly make a difference in your life as well. So really my story and what I have been through, I had no idea what diabetes was before I was diagnosed. And, there were some things that were happening leading up to my diabetes, and I'll kind of go through those. But I was just tired all the time. I was drinking like 3 or 4 20-ounce Dr. Peppers every day. We had a pop machine at school. So I was constantly drinking pop. I was going to McDonald's. I could eat whatever I wanted to eat. I was a 3-sport athlete and, 0% body fat. Just kidding. I'm sure I did. But you know what I mean. I was just a very healthy, active 16, 17-year-old. But I was getting up in the middle of the night. I was going to the bathroom constantly. I was even telling my mom and dad, like, this is getting ridiculous. I'm getting up in the middle of the night all the time and to use the restroom. I don't understand what's going on. And that my clothes weren't fitting. I mean, I literally was able to slip out of my jeans, and I showed my mom. My mom's like, well, we have to go shopping. For a 16, 17-year-old, yeah, let's go shopping, you know? So it was always like a positive. Oh, I'm losing weight. Oh, I'm doing this. But then I actually talked to my basketball coach and the assistant basketball coach, and they said, Chrissy, if you look at your stats from the season 2002 to 2003, your stats really declined. So I wasn't doing as well as I thought I was doing in the sport that I was playing. Because I was very lethargic. I was just tired all the time. I was constantly hungry and thirsty, but I was losing weight. It was perfect case scenario for somebody who had no idea what diabetes was, right? So my mom was it was towards the end of summer. I will never forget the day that I was diagnosed. I had went into my doctor the day before, and they ran a blood test, and, you know, she's like, we'll let you know just in case, you know, if there's anything. Of course, my mom's thinking I have cancer at this point, because how else could I lose all this weight, right? So I went in and I did all the blood tests, and I went over to my friend's house. Me and a couple of my other girlfriends, we were just laying out by her pool. And my mom calls me, and you can tell she's upset with the phone. She's trying to stay strong, because my mom is a very strong woman. God love her. And she's like, hey, the doctor's office just called. I think that you need to come home. And I said, okay, is everything okay? And she starts getting emotional, and almost makes me emotional, because that day changed my life forever. Sorry, wasn't expecting that. But my mom, you know, called me to come home, and and later on we had volleyball that night, and it was going into my senior year, so I was a captain, and she told me that I had diabetes. I could never eat ice cream again. I could never eat food again. I like not eat food again, but like no ice cream, no Dr. Pepper, like all the things that I was used to, I couldn't do anymore. I couldn't eat anymore. And I was like, what? What do you mean I can't have these things anymore? I'm 17 years old, and my life has changed. So my mom's like, we have to go into the hospital tonight. And I was like, I have to get admitted into the hospital? Like, is this like, am I going to die from this? That's my first question, because I have no idea what this is. Like, and my mom was, I can just tell my mom was just upset. She was trying to be so strong, like I said. But I went into the hospital and got hooked up, and you know, the blood test came through, and they said my average blood sugar was over 600, and it was over a period of like 3 or 6 months. I don't know exactly for sure. But that was my average blood sugar over the past 3 to 6 months. So I knew that I obviously had it. I can remember when I started losing weight, and when I started constantly going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So I had to go into my volleyball coach that night, and I had to tell her, like, look, I'm not going to be here tonight. I'm not going to be here tomorrow. I'm sorry. I don't miss anything. I was the child that was always in a sport, always playing something, always doing something. I never really took a day off in the summer. Like, sports is my life. Okay. So going into her and letting her know, like, hey, I have a condition now, and I need to go to the hospital, and I may be out for the next few days. I don't really know what this looks like, so I will definitely, you know, keep you in the loop with everything. So I go into the hospital, and I have a diabetic educator come in and speak with me, and even in 2003, and a nutritionist, and telling me that I was going to have to eat so clean from there on out. And that was just a struggle. And then that 3 days, I mean, one, I couldn't leave until I gave myself a physical shot. Like, I had to draw up a needle full of insulin of however much I was eating in carbs, because you have to start learning how to carb count. You have to start learning all of these new things. And had to draw up the insulin that I was giving myself, and then I had to give myself a shot before I left. They would not let me leave until I gave myself that shot. That was mind-boggling. It was the most terrifying thing because, I wasn't afraid of shots when I was younger, but I definitely didn't want to start giving myself shots. So I gave myself the shot and went home and refused. So, even when I was in the hospital, they were testing my blood sugar like every 30 minutes and obviously trying to regulate my blood sugar. And, at that time, I've never experienced a low. So I experienced my first low and I think it was like 50 something. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like I'm shaky and I'm disoriented and, that wasn't a good feeling. But then I started realizing that my mood swings were because my blood sugars were so high. Crazy, right? It's crazy what your body can do and how it reacts to certain situations. But yeah, I was diagnosed at the age of 17. I think it was probably if you have to get diagnosed, probably one of the worst ages because I was a stubborn 17-year-old. I didn't want to change the way that I did things. And I did. I became a whole new person, and I was in denial for a really long time. And it's not something that a lot of people can admit. And the fact that I'm doing this and putting myself out there is such a vulnerable thing that I generally wouldn't do. But I feel like, I was in the school system for 3 years and just seeing kids and how much it's changed, even like the 15 years that 14 years, I don't want to age myself too much, but the amount of time that I've been out of school, it's just changed so much because I feel like there are so many more kids getting diagnosed with, type 1 juvenile diabetes, and some kids are even getting diagnosed now with type 2 diabetes. So the difference with type 1 diabetes, my pancreas just doesn't, simply put, it just doesn't work anymore. So I have to make sure that I give myself insulin for the amount of food or, carbs, carb count, that I eat, because it's how your body breaks down sugars now. But type 2 is more of, if you're unhealthy or maybe if you're overweight, and generally comes with age as well. Sometimes you can actually even get rid of type 2 diabetes. But I always get people saying, oh, you got the bad type of diabetes. Well, type 1 and type 2 diabetes in general is not a fun thing that you have to deal with every single day. But needless to say, I just know that there are so many people out there that feel like they need to talk to somebody. And for me, my mom wanted me to go to a diabetic camp. By the way, I'm not saying anything bad about diabetic camps because I've never been to one. But I didn't really want to go to one either because I felt like I was getting segregated and I was getting put into a group. I didn't feel right about it. And that was just me personally. I know some people that have diabetes. I've talked to them, they went to camps and they love it. But at that time, at the age of 17, I did not want to do it. I didn't want to do it. Like I said, I was in denial for several years. I'd watch my friends sit down and eat a meal and they didn't have to count anything. They didn't have to carb guesstimate. They didn't have to give themselves a shot. They didn't have to put stuff in their pump to give them insulin. They didn't have to do any of this. So I just kept asking why. Like, why did I get diagnosed with this? And so, like I said, I was in denial for a really, really long time. But now, you learn that you will have good days and you will have bad days. And that's what I really want this channel to be about. I want everyone to be able to experience something to where if they do have questions, do not hesitate. Please subscribe to my channel. Please go underneath, like this video, and then write in comments what you guys want to know about. Because, I told you a little bit about my journey, but there's so much more to it. It's 15 years of being diabetic. And as a girl, you know, I went through other things as well, like, you know, just with health, and I was pregnant twice, and I have two beautiful girls. But relationships, friendships, marriage, daughter, I mean, everything. I feel like I have been through so much that I feel like I can help other people, and that's my goal. My goal is to help people and to educate, you know, just as much as I know. Now, do I know everything? Of course not. But I do have experience, and I do have, you know, heart, and I do have, you know, a want to make sure that people know that they can get through this. And it's something that, yeah, we have to deal with it every day, but it's only making us stronger. And, you know, it's making us a better person, even though some days we don't feel like it. Um, Diabetes does not have to control our life. We can regain that control, and we can really, really do great things with it. And that's really what my goal and my want is. I want to help other people. So, like I said, subscribe, like below, and then if you guys do want me to talk about a specific topic, I will be posting videos every single Sunday. And about this time, just because my kids are in bed right now, so it helps out a little bit there. But like I said, subscribe, like, and then comment below if you guys have any questions or concerns even. I mean, you guys can throw everything out that you want to, and then I will try to address everything. So I hope this has helped even just a little bit, and we will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.